What's up? We are back.
Oh, there's Francisco. Hey.
Yeah, he joined in while the episode was going. So
right.
We are in episode number, I have no idea.
179.
Episode 1.
You
got to do your thing. 79.
9.
179. There you go. And today we are discussing stuff. Just stuff. But as usual, we always have shout outs and we always talk about who's here. So let's talk about who's here. First of all, we always have over here. Sorry. I always forget it's opposite. Carcass John.
Hey, what's up?
And down below, we have one who is a guest, but a regular at the same time. Our buddy Steve, or AKA Harmless Rebel. And special guest. And please introduce yourself.
Dark Rain himself, Francisco Polito.
Yeah, my name is FP right there.
FP.
Yep.
And basically what we're going to be talking today is what's new stuff we get in, what we're spinning, that kind of thing. So just basically, talking metalhead BS. So
we'll just go around the horn, although I have been spinning some not so metallic things.
Me too, but any shout outs before we start?
Yeah, how about Ronnie James Dio? Thanks for all the great vocal work for the last 40 years, and this is the 13th anniversary of his passing.
Oh, is it? I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, 40 years. What was his first album? It was like the Red Cap, 55.
Yeah, he was a crooner or something, wasn't he?
Well, I think the Red Caps was instrumental. I can't remember, but yeah, early rock.
Yep, and then Elf, and then the rest is history, as we all know. And actually, I was spinning the Heaven and Hell and Mob Rules just because I was curious if they still held up, which they do. And then Dehumanizer is one that just always slides off into the distance. Nobody thinks about it or gives it much credit or whatever. But man,
that's the one I listen to the most. They kind of went a little back to the Doom sound with that one. I really like it.
No.
Yeah, I love the song I.
Oh, yeah.
And seeing them perform that song live really cemented it for me. It was so much heavier live than on that studio record. I think that album suffers a little bit from too clean a production. It just doesn't have quite the same heaviness as Heaven and Hell and Mob Rules.
Yeah, maybe not.
I mean, it is heavy. It's a heavy album, but there's just something about the production or the recording or something it's just brighter and less dark, Anyhow, what do you say, Steve? Anything?
No, I got nothing today.
FG?
No, I'm just sharing this show right now. So
you're not going to shout out New Kids on the Block? The only guy I know that owns a New Kids on the Block sleeping bag. Are you kidding me?
No, not today. I didn't bring it out. I wanted to look cool. I wanted to look cool today.
Yeah, the Metal Queen would have been all over that. I'm glad you hit it because then I can never hear the end of it. Anyway, but thanks for joining us on short notice. We're kind of like scatter shooting today because Hair Metal Rob is not here and he's doing some personal stuff. But we're just gonna wing it, and that's the best way to go. And man, we're already stacked. We got Metal Overkill here, Tony Clem, AZ Mick, Integrity 101, Jason Ellsworth, TJ. Damien Hair Metal. Holy smokes. Oh, and here he comes. Francisco's favorite fan, president of Francisco Polito Fan Club.
Oh, my God.
Frazier, I'm a security guard, Dawson.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, did his grandpa really invent the porta potty?
I think so.
I don't know. Okay, all right. I heard a rumor.
I think his dad had a porta potty business, like
maybe that was it.
Upscale porta potty business. If that makes any sense.
Inquiring minds wanted to know, but anyway.
Yeah.
Jason Elworth said Dehumanizer is my favorite Ronnie James Dio era Black Sabbath album. Love it. Yeah, it's a great album, no doubt about it.
Yep. What's up, TJ?
And there it is, Fraser Dawn.
There he is. Good grief.
He's probably our longest. The viewer who's been with us the longest.
Yeah, he's been around for a while, hasn't he?
Yep.
He's a good cat, man. Anyway, yeah, let's go.
Let's get into it. So, what have y'all been spinning?
You want me to start? We'll just go around the horn.
Yeah, go ahead. Go around the horn. I mean,
let's just get the elephant in the room out of the way. I found a copy of this, Osric Tentacles. And it's double. This is The Floor's Too Far Away, and this is kind of an obscure one. It was kind of sandwiched in between a couple other things, but it came out on Cleopatra Records. It's the only one, but it's double purple and green haze. I really like that. And how about this?
What was the name of that album?
The Floor's Too Far Away.
Got it.
And it's really awesome. You really need to grab it. I found this one today at CD Warehouse, and shout out to those guys, CD Warehouse in Arlington. They always have obscure things. This is the new Dave Lombardo, Rites of Percussion, on red vinyl with a download card. If you're looking for Slayer, don't buy the record. But I'm one of those weirdos that bought his Vivaldi thing that he like played in a Baroque symphony type type deal, and he played all 8 drum parts with the drum kit, which
He's
I
had
thought
some
was
cool little side projects, man. He did what was it, Flim that he had for a while there?
Yeah.
They had a really cool vibe going with that.
But this is really a cool thing. It's he's Latin, and so I think he digs into some of his Latin roots, and he really it really comes off cool. I like it. I've listened to it. It's a short record. It's 34 minutes. So I've listened to it twice already today. But now for something metal. Let's see. This was my one of my top albums of 2 years ago, I think. Blood Incantation, the hidden history of the human race. This one's on a limited edition green and white swirl spacey thing, and I found it for super cheap, and I know they go for a lot of money, but I just love the band so much. Plus, it has the book and the maps and all that other cool stuff.
How many copies of that do you have now?
Probably 5. I'll have to dig those out. Well, you know what?
It's going to be more.
I have 0.
Maybe
that's the only album I don't have.
Well, let's make a deal. I'm not going to be a hog about it, but I love that band so much, and everybody needs. It's kind of like Toxic Holocaust for me.
I got into them on the album after that, and that wasn't my album of the year. I can't remember if it was.
Well, the album after that is Time Wave Zero, which is an ambient record.
No, it's not that one. It's the
Star
first
Spawn.
One.
Star Spawn.
No, is that? Yeah.
Yeah, that's they're all good, and I don't know if you know, Paul Riedel has an ambient mixtape thing going on, and he's in another band called a Spectral Voice, which is even heavier than Blood Incantation. But anyway, and I picked this up only because I've got 1 million copies of it already. But
hell yeah,
that's Scorpions cool. Blackout, but it's in Spanish.
That's cool.
So I couldn't turn it down. But
I have a few of those.
What are you guys spinning these days?
Yeah, it's Steve.
Oh man, I got all kind of. I've been spinning so much stuff lately.
Fraser sucks.
This is just. This is literally on my turntable right now.
Oh wow!
Spinning this. I found another copy for $35, so I wasn't gonna.
That was my introduction to the band. I saw them on that tour. In fact, Francisco, you remember Power Tools?
Yeah.
The old club. I saw them. I think it was Power Tools, but and then but I had gone out and I'd been listening to that thing on a loop, and had gone out and bought all their Flag of Hate and all their earlier ones, and had Mila had signed them for me. But yeah, I love that. That Terrible Certainty is really it's technical, but it's heavy, but it's not like blazing fast like some of the earlier stuff. But man, I really love that record.
Well, it's the album before it are my favorite creators. I mean, it doesn't get much better than those. And then so Scott and I were talking about Dark Era. No, it was after we did the show with Ron, and I got into a Dark Angel kick, and I was listening to that, and I don't know how I missed it, but I didn't realize that a couple of the guys from Dark Angel were on this Viking album. And I hadn't listened to this in a number of years, so I went ahead and pulled this out, and this has been in rotation for about a month now. Been playing this in the debut quite a bit.
Is that the third one or the second one?
Third.
Yeah, this is the third. This is the one from, was it 15 or 16?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, more recent one. Man of Straw and the other one.
Yeah, so this has Gene and Mike from Dark
Angel.
And then Ron Erickson, who was also in Dark Angel.
Oh, I didn't know. Oh, yeah. He was a guitar player, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he. Mm-hmm.
And then speaking of Dio, I bought this when it came out, the remix of it. I actually really like this remix. I heard a lot of people don't like it. I've always thought the original was kind of flat, and I think they brought the mix out a little bit better on this. So I've been spinning this a little bit. Not the best pressing, but it sounds, the mastering is real good on it. And then, of course, the new Night Demon, Outsider.
How do you like that?
I don't like it as much as their first few. This is my least favorite of their. I loved their first few albums. This one, I listened to it the first time. I wasn't really feeling it, and I thought, maybe I'm not in the mood. I've spun it like 2 or 3 more times. It's a good album. It's nothing like their first few, though.
It almost sounds too commercial for me. I don't know.
Yeah, and they're on the same. I don't know. Were they on Century before?
I think so. Or Nuclear Blast. No, they were on Century Media.
So yeah, it's the same label. I don't know. Maybe they wrote it all through the pandemic, so maybe they just polished it up too much while they were sitting around doing nothing.
I guess I don't like it. I just flat out don't like it.
But this is another ass kicker that I was listening to earlier today. A Higher Form of Killing.
Oh yeah.
Great Intruder. And I'll do one more and let one of you guys go, because I got a bunch of stuff. But and I've been playing this a lot. This is the Grim Reaper demos, 81 to 83.
Oh, cool.
It just came out. I can't remember which is which, but one of these demos is a 10 out of 10. It's better than their first album. And then the other demo is like a 4 out of 10. You know how that goes. But definitely worth picking up if you guys run across that. I think it's on CD, too.
Right on. You're up. What you got?
Me? I just scrambled and put together CDs were the quickest thing to grab, so that's all I have.
That's all right.
Where do I start? Well, you know what? This is the latest thing I listened to, and it's no surprise to anybody. I hadn't heard this one in a while. I hadn't listened to it in a while, but this is a damn good album.
I think it is.
What was it? Shake Your Foundations. It's just the title track. Just a bunch of cool backing business. Sink the Pink, of course.
Okay.
But this is a damn good album. I probably the last, albums. Well, I take that back. Who Made Who? I like Who Made Who, even though it's a soundtrack. But I like Who Made Who, the song. And but yeah, Fly on the Wall, and then also this one to me has just some of the most underrated AC/DC songs. You Ain't Got a Hold on Me. Soul Stripper has that bass riff that sounds kind of disco-ish, also with the drums. This is absolute perfection to me. AC/DC. So of course I'm going to talk about AC/DC.
And it sounds disco-ish before disco.
Yeah. It's like
you paved the way. Oh no, AC/DC paved the way for disco.
AC/DC rules. AC/DC is the best rock band ever. Don't you forget it.
You're not going to get a fight in the parking lot from me on that. That's a bold statement, but I think it's a true one.
Actually, speaking of creator, I did listen to Endless Pain recently, which I hadn't listened to in a while. It's this was the first one I ever heard from him, and I know a lot of people like Pleasure to Kill the most, but for some reason this one always stuck with me. I love Pleasure to Kill, but this one always stuck with me because it was the first one I heard. Right. That
was their first album too, wasn't it?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It's just real raw and ugly and nasty, and just the way I like it. This is kind of a plug, but I have been listening to it. Ruin Absconder split CD on Go Throne. They're both death metal, like super heavy, down-tuned death metal. Ruin is from LA, who's actually coming to Houston to play a month from today, June 16th. So they're going to be in Houston. And Absconder is from Illinois, which is another really super heavy band. That if you're into the underground death metal, you may remember a band named Morgue that were like on. It features Brad from Morgue on bass and vocals on Absconder. So, but yeah, go check out Ruin in Houston, June 16th. So I got some more, but I'll give somebody else a chance.
I got a pile of CDs, a pile of cassettes, and a pile of vinyl here. So I actually inherited a cassette collection this past week. So I've been listening to a lot of cassettes. So I didn't pull all the ones that I got in the collection, but the ones that I've actually listened to already, I pulled. So about Black Flag.
Nice.
That's a great album.
Oh wow.
My Way, yeah. And I was already on a kick on these guys recently, so I was listening to a lot of Accept, but Restless and Wild.
I actually just listened to that album. That's sitting over there on my stack to put away.
Old early 90s death metal, Mortification.
Is that the comp?
No, this is the first album. It's the
okay.
This is probably the US pressing on Frontline because it's got just the logo on it as opposed to the souls going and burning in hell cover that offended everybody. Metallica, Kill 'Em All, old cassette pressing. I still love that album. I don't care what people say. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Metallica these days, but man, Kill 'Em All was it just captured a youthful energy that nobody had back then. Kiss Alive on cassette. Now these were kind of fun. I really enjoyed listening to these, but Masters of Metal live from the 70s. Check out this.
It's
live
funny
version?
you show that. I just bought one of the Masters of Metal cassette, not the live, but one of the those cassettes, man. They're
fun. I really enjoyed this one.
That's how we used to learn about bands back in the 80s, you know?
Yep, exactly. So here you go, John. I'll say the song. You tell me the band. I bet you can do every one of them without even thinking about it. We're an American band.
Grand Funk.
Yep.
Yeah.
Godzilla.
Blue Oyster.
Blue Oyster. BOC. I know that
Yep.
one. Yeah, I know that one.
$1 Billion Babies.
Alice Cooper.
Yep.
Yep. Too Hot to Handle.
YNT.
UFO.
UFO.
Yep. Boom Boom. Out Go the Lights. Live.
Pat Travers. We had Glenn Rogers said something about Pat Travers. He just picked up live albums. Pat Travers, Go for What You Know, and so there you go.
Let's see on the B side, Anthem. Rush. Easy Living. That's an easy one.
Uriah Heep.
Yep. Lady Love. That's a hard one.
Robin Trower.
Yep.
Wow.
Good job, man. Let's see. Just What the Doctor Ordered.
Ted Nugent.
You got it. And Mississippi Queen to end it all off.
That can be a couple different bands, actually.
And yeah, I just thought it was an awesome collection. I really enjoyed it. But then also this one here, which is also a live.
Oh, that's a great one too. Yeah.
So yeah, you got Rainbow and Scorpions and Riot.
I think you sent me that record like 7 or 8 years ago.
I probably did. I had a couple copies of it. April Wine and I think Saxon is on here, so that was a fun listen too. And then Slaves to Metal.
Yeah, I have that one too.
Aren't we all?
So this one's a little more. So it's got mid 80s stuff because this is like 84, 85, I'm guessing. But so it's got The Price, Twisted Sister, Blind in Texas from Wasp, Can't Live Without You, Scorpions, Balls to the Wall, Accept, Soldiers Under Command by Stryper, Love Bites by Judas Priest, Rock and Roll Children by Dio, I'll See the Light Tonight, Yngwie Malmsteen, Heavy Metal Love, Helix, and The Lady Wore Black by Queensryche.
Oh wow, that's a killer one.
So that was cool. And then one more here that unfortunately I only got to hear about
nice
2 minutes of it before I took it off because it sounded horrible. And I was like, oh man, that was no good. And then I went and pulled it out of the cassette and it was just missing the little pad. So I went and found I found another cassette that I had and ripped the pad off that one and glued it into this one. So I'm going to give it a day or two for the glue to dry before I try it again. But yeah, anyhow, so that's that's some of the cassettes that I was listening to over the last few days.
Man, you hit the mother load. That's awesome.
That's like he literally gave me like 60 tapes. So that's just a small portion of them.
I don't know if you got that box I sent. There's a few tapes in there too.
When'd you send it?
Friday or Saturday, so it should be here.
Oh, it didn't come
You
yet.
should get it today or tomorrow.
I'm gonna wait. I'm actually going out to see Steve in a couple weeks, so I've got a box for you too. But I'm just gonna bring it with me.
Cool. Are you flying or are you driving through Texas?
I'm flying.
Oh,
We're
okay.
Flying into Georgia. So yeah, John, you're up again.
Well, I mean, I am a metalhead, but I find some eclectic stuff. I don't know if anyone cares, but this is German hip hop. The R. This is the Hustlers theme, and it's got a bunch of basically all-star German hip hop guys. And this is true hip hop. It's not done with a drum machine. It's done with turntables and whatever. Then I found this killer Alice in Chains.
Oh wow, that's cool.
This is like cut out, and the vinyl is green, and it's got Wood, A Man in the Box live, and then it's got Brother and Right Turn, which are unreleased tracks. Have you heard of King Buffalo before? Anybody?
Yeah.
Nope.
These were like they're like a 3-piece power trio. They were going on tour, and these are special tour editions. They're like really freaky splatter vinyl, but I really dig these guys. If you like Elder or Woe Fat or stuff like that, that's what this is like. It's real cosmic. Like even the new Sleep is kind of like that. But this is a little more melodic than Sleep. And then I have this thing about krautrock. This is Klaus Schutze, who is also in Tangerine Dream, but this is like a full-blown jazz fusion project that he did, and I found that in the dollar bin. And then, of course, someone asked me about Entombed because I saw a stack. I didn't realize how many albums they actually had, but man, this one for me was. I mean, I can own this and then just not really worry. I mean, Clandestine, I like that one too, but they haven't been the same since this record, in my opinion. And I saw them on this tour with the Grind Crusher tour, and so anyway, I've got more, but go ahead, Steve.
I don't know what led me on this kick, man, but I went on this Whitesnake kick.
Not a bad kick to be on, as long as you're doing the classic stuff.
Yeah, no, it is. I do remember what it was. So they did that reissue of Trouble like last year or the year before, and I ended up grabbing it, and it sounded terrible. It was a horrible pressing. I ended up taking it back, but it just made me want to listen to Whitesnake. So I pulled out one of the earlier copies that I had. Yeah, I ended up spinning this, and it just kind of went downhill from there. Ended up pulling out Best of Whitesnake. I think this one's a Japanese best of. And then the old Slide It In. I think these are all German too. These aren't the US pressings. Saints and Sinners.
Great one.
And then I just recently picked this one up. I had never owned this before. I don't know why they screwed up the cover this way, but this is David Coverdale's solo Whitesnake before the Whitesnake band. So this used to be the cover over here. I don't know why
they added that
mess with it, but so I was spinning those, and then the last couple days, I just ran across this one for like $3. I had never owned this before, but this is the Slade debut. Played this through 3 or 4 times.
Oh wow!
And then this was one, I've been looking for this record for probably 10 years and finally found it, and been playing it quite a bit, but Stars live at Municipal Auditorium.
That's a great one. I love that album.
Yeah, this one was promo only. It took forever to find. And I find it was a little store that didn't have shit. I mean, everything was garbage that they had, and sitting in the back was this. And
yeah, I bought that back before the vinyl price explosion of the last 10 years.
I mean, that's why you go shopping, right? That's why you actually go to a record store, because
well, this wasn't really it was like an antique mall, couple bins
or whatever. You still look.
Pretty good comp of Thin Lizzy on Vertigo. This is like a Dutch Lizzy Killers.
I like that. Well, I like anything Lizzy. So
Man, they did such a great job on this. I've been playing this. I've got an original pressing of this, but this sounds 10 times better. This is the Record Store Day, the best of
Oh, yeah.
Man, I don't know who remastered it or who pressed it, but man, they did such a great job on this. The original sounded good, but it's kind of flat. It's like I don't know. It's like a cassette tape transfer is what it sounds like, the original. And then I got a few more, so I'll just flip through them. I listened to this earlier today too. A little bit of Tiger Tails.
There's some.
Oh my!
There's some glam metal for you.
Yeah,
that one's especially for you, Damien. That one's especially for Damien Hair Metal, who's watching right
where's
now.
Rob? Where's Rob? He missed the wrong show.
And then speaking of hair metal, Motley Crue Raw tracks. This is really
stuff,
good.
right?
This was originally Japan only. This is a recent bootleg of it, but it's the same company that did the debut of the Dark Angel debut. Man, they're doing such a great job on these pressings. But it's got a few of the leather mixes from the first album, and then a couple live, and pretty good stuff. Pulled out John's favorite, Beast in the East.
Oh yeah.
Gave that one a couple spins. And this is what from the stuff that I just got. What was that, like a month ago, Scott? The Leviticus. I hadn't listened to this in probably 20 years.
I love that album. It's very new wave of British heavy metal.
Yeah,
it's got
so
that.
It's cool to spin this.
Yeah. I mean, it pretty much was during that time period too. Wasn't it like 83 or something like that? 82, 83?
Man, I thought it was earlier than that.
Might have been.
Oh no, it's 84.
Yeah, because they had that album.
Well, it was originally released in
Swedish.
Swedish, there you go. And so it had to be a couple years before.
Yeah, and then they had an EP that came up before that.
The fourth best German thrash band.
Accuser. Diabolic. Such a great album.
And that's that was the last before they went to Metal Blade, right? And everything after that.
No. Nope, they had 2 or 3 more albums after that one. Yeah. Cool, man. Good.
So that's about 4 days worth of listening, 5 days worth of listening.
I'm sorry, but
Fire away,
I think of the name,
Fraser Sets is my name. Fraser Sets.
Francisco.
All right, so it's just that's fun to say. That's fun to say.
I'm sure you're sick of hearing that.
I don't hear it as often as you would think. All right, so starting off with Greek black metal. This band's called Necromantia. This is their first album on Osmos Productions back in 92, 93.
That's a cool album cover. I like that.
Yeah,
this is 2 bass players, no rhythm guitar tracks. The only guitar tracks you hear is like leads, and real evil sounding, just real cool original sound by these guys, because the bass, I think one bass player plays like an 8-string bass and the other one's just a 4-string. But just one of my favorites from like the early wave of black metal stuff.
Like Spinal Tap.
Yeah.
Big Bottom. Whole band playing bass.
Yeah,
the whole band plays bass.
This is Impetigo. This is old.
That's killer.
This is the EP, Faceless EP, which actually it's kind of, if you're familiar with Impetigo, it's like this is in between the 2 albums, the only 2 albums they did. But it was like, to me, this is it might be, it's a little short. It's only like 4 songs, but I think they were kind of getting their sound on this one. And then on Horror of the Zombies, it just became total death metal. But this is a kind of a mix between the first 2 albums, and just one of the most influential, like, underground death grind bands to ever walk the earth. Here's something from England for Fraser. I really dig like mid-'80s England hardcore, like fast hardcore. This is one of the pioneers, Heresy.
Oh yeah.
They were around from 80. Well, this is from 85 to 87. This is like the really early stuff that they did, and really influential on me for some of my bands my band HRA. Just fast, super aggressive. No nonsense. There's just basically kicking you in the face, punching you in the gut. just all out attack. Heresy rules. If you're into any kind of punk hardcore that's played like 30 times faster than like early punk hardcore, then you'll dig Heresy. And this one here, a lot of people don't believe me, but this is one of my all-time favorite bands. When I got into this band, I was heavily into grindcore and death metal. I was like 15, 16 years old. And a buddy of mine played this Bad Religion album for me back when I was 15, and this is the first one I heard. And to this day, it's my favorite. I'm like a Bad Religion fanboy, but to this day, this album still gives me that the same feeling I had when I heard it, however long ago 1990 was now. But
I think Surfer is my favorite, but No Control is right there with it.
Yeah, I mean, I heard this first. To me, it's Suffer. The era of Suffer, No Control, and Against the Grain is my favorite era of the band. But just great band, great vocal harmonies, catchy tunes, just fast. This is actually a really fast album for a melodic hardcore album. So. All right, I didn't take out as many stuff as y'all did. I got a few more, but I'll stop there and wait my round again.
Hey, so we got some people talking Leviticus in the group, and people were talking about what album came out when. So the one we were talking about that came out before I Shall Conquer was Jag Skal Segra, which is sung in Swedish. And then came along I Shall Conquer. So they're basically the same album, but they re-recorded this one. Everything, not just the vocals, everything was re-recorded and they sang in English, but this one was recorded and sung in Swedish. And then before this one, they actually had an EP as well. So, which I don't own. I wish I did. It's not.
I always thought they should have kept the original cover on the English language.
Oh, this cover?
Yeah, that cover's so much better than the one that they used.
Yeah. They're okay. They're both kind of that cheesy 80s style that I kind of dig them. Anyhow, I got a pile of CDs here. I'll do the vinyl last. So this one, of course, I've been spinning quite a bit. This is the new Stone Trip. It's been a frequent spinner. These guys are just so good. I wouldn't call them heavy metal, especially by today's standards, but just good, strong, hard rock. Great riffs, great vocals, big hooks. So yeah, I mean, I really dig those guys. Of course, we've had them on the show a few times. I've been on a Chris Manning kick, so I played this one like 3 or 4 times over the last couple weeks because I heard the new album and I just heard a couple songs off it, and my goodness, that album was good. New album's gonna blow this one away, and I thought this was great. Songs like Push and Start Over Now are just freaking killer. Chris is such a cool cat too. You know him, right?
Yep.
He's such a cool guy. So anyhow, his new album's coming out on vinyl and CD. Only 100 copies of the vinyl, and I mean, I'm kind of pimping my label with this one, but honestly, I have actually been spinning it. If anybody's on my Facebook or Instagram page, I post all the crap I'm spinning on there, and you probably saw me post that one. So this is one that if you would have asked me a month ago, I would have told you I hate that band. But this is the Showdown, Blood and the Gears. And I originally I bought their first album, wicked cool cover on that first album back when it came out. Just boring, typical tooth and nail kind of stuff. I don't know, hardcore, 2000s hardcore. But so I never really gave them a chance after that first album. This is like their 3rd or 4th album. And this is like a mixture of thrash metal, a little bit of hardcore, mostly in the vocal style, but a whole helping of like a Pantera kind of thing going on here with those groove riffs. And
so is it more like the Crucified or something like that, or is it not?
No, it's more like more like Pantera. The only hardcore I hear is in the vocals on occasion. So yeah, the music is just pure metal. Matter of fact, on this tour, the tour shirt for this, they had a tour shirt for this that "Heavy Metal Till I Die" was on the back of their tour shirt. So anyhow, yeah, I'm surprised. I didn't think I would like this at all. I'm not a big fan of a lot of the modern metal bands, but this was good. So anyhow, the Showdown.
Taking notes.
I can't remember if this was their last album because the other album that I heard from them is called. What's it called? Backbreaker, and that one was good too. So those last 2 albums they did were just really good. So anyhow, there you go. How about this one? Battlecross, Metal Blade Band.
Yeah, they're great. They're from Detroit, aren't they?
Yeah. I'm really hoping these things are going to come out on vinyl soon. So we'll see. I really dig this. This is my favorite of their albums, but they're all good. But probably just because this is the first one I heard, and I got to see the band on this tour, and I met them. Obviously, my copy signed. So just thrash metal with kind of a modern. They kind of have almost a core style vocals.
Yeah.
But anyhow,
they're not quite truth 80s thrash, but they're there.
They're dang close. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Born Again. Not sure what kicked off this one, but I think I heard one song online live, and I was like, I got to pull that out. I saw this tour, so Quiet Riot opening. They played the Spectrum, Smoke on the Water. This version has a live, but it also has two. It also has the Fallen on there, which was a song that, of course, was recorded for the album, not included, and it's got the extended version of Stonehenge. So, which they used to open up the show.
Speaking of kicking myself, I had access to the demos of that record, which actually sound better than the record itself, than the final product. And I didn't pick it up because it was pretty pricey, and I regret it now.
I'm one of the few people. I love the shitty production on that record. I personally like it.
It wasn't so much. It wasn't so much the production as much as it was just it just sounded better in the raw form. I don't know what they did. I didn't know what they did to it. I don't know what they did to it in the process of putting it out, but they wrecked it, I think. But whatever.
The tour was great. The songs are great. I mean, and
Ian Gillan
is just one of my all-time favorite vocalists. So
yeah.
Anyhow, I played this box set. I hadn't heard it in a long time. We were talking about bringing Steve Gaines onto the show.
Yeah.
So I pulled out the Tactics box set. Of course, Steve Gaines from Avatar, Bloodlust, Anger is Art.
Yep.
Two more. Going quickly here. This is the new version of Bad Magic, Motorhead. Seriously Bad Magic. And it was like, almost free on Amazon. It was so dang cheap. I was like, I jumped on it as quickly as I could. I bought the one copy for, I can't remember what it was, $9 or whatever it was. And as soon as I bought it, the price dropped back up again. Because I was going to Steve and I do that all the time. As soon as we see the price like that, but as soon as I bought it, it was gone. There was no more from that price. So I was like,
Amazon's weird like that. They'll set like a number, and once they sell that many, the price shoots back up.
So what is it?
So it is the Bad Magic album remastered, and it sounds better than the original. It has some of the tracks that were recorded for the album that were left off the album, including their cover of David Bowie's Heroes.
I love it. So I know a lot of people don't like it. I thought it was awesome.
So there's 16 tracks total on the disc one. Disc two is an entire show from 2015. So there's a live disc, and anyhow, it's not it's not a huge deal, but since I got it cheap, I jumped on it. And finally, this one is a bit of self-promotion too, but I have been actually listening to this Accuser box set.
Is that the first three records? Or
it's the first two records. It's got the first two, and then it's got the fourth and the fifth. So it skips the third, because the third, which I have sitting right here, was Who Dominates Who, and that came out as a double disc as well. But Rob remastered this thing. Oh my gosh, man! It sounds so much better than the originals do, especially those early '80s albums. What was it? The Conviction and Experimental Errors. Mm-hmm. But even Repent, that album always had such loud drums. It was like, Kiss Creatures of the Night style drums, where it's just like beating you over the head with the drums. And he managed to bring the guitars and everything out, so it's just really cool. But it's 4 albums on 3 discs, and it's a nice little set with a little OB strip and what do you call these things? O cards.
Slip case.
Came with a couple of cards, and opens up and has all the cover art, and it's got a 16-page booklet in it. And
I wonder who did the artwork for that.
I wonder.
I don't know, but Rob did the mastering, and he did a great job on it. So there you go. That's my CD pile that I brought over the show.
Well,
so you're up again, John.
Yeah. Once again, like I said, I get into this krautrock thing, and no, that's not racist or anything. That's what they call it. But Albert von Dien, Sternzeit, great record. I really like the ambient stuff. This is Mick Harris, who used to be in Napalm Death. He's doing ambient soundtrack type music, and this is a double album called Lull Moments.
Very good. Do you have this one, John? Speaking of
Super Rock Festival. No, I don't have that. Nope, don't have that. It's got Nectar.
Is that the Hungarian Omega?
I don't know.
You guys are great. Have you heard them, John?
Yes, I have.
But yeah, anyhow, just curious if you had it. A buddy of mine from Germany sent this to me.
Yep, that's killer.
Yeah.
Here's another kind of experimental guy, Kelman Duran. These are called white labels. They basically just cut a master while they're recording the thing live. So it's kind of fun. And don't lose hope. I'm still a metalhead. I came across Target. You ever heard of them? Brilliant.
Yes, great
metal thrash. Yeah.
Yep.
Master Genesis Project, and then if you listen to one, you have to listen to Mission Executed. I really dig that. I've been spinning A Feather and Bone. They're a local Denver band, just absolutely atmospheric, brutal, regurgitated communion, entropic self-immolation. I mean, great songs, stuff that Francisco would sing to his kids as a lullaby. And this, I think, may be one of my favorite records of the year. Mortuous. If you're a fan of early Morbid Angel, this thing is probably for you, but it's heavier than the earlier Morbid Angel, but has a similar vibe. Rob Doom McNeese came up and visited, and we played this, and he didn't think he would like it because he can't read the logo, so he thinks everything if you can't read the logo, then it must suck. But anyway, he was impressed with this, and then for some reason, I did a show on the Crypt that was a tribute to Canadian metal. The whole hour was Canadian metal, and I really, man, Outer Limits is great. I think that's a great rock record, but this thing is technically brilliant. Voivod, Dimension, Hatros. This is actually
Voivod right there.
This is actually a Korean copy. And since we're talking Canadian metal, the new Wake. I don't know if you've heard of them. They are a brilliant band. This is their 8th or 9th record. But this is a tour copy too, so it's got a weird marbled red splatter. They're on Metal Blade. Well worth checking out. Devouring Rain is one of my favorite albums. But this thing is their latest release. Thought Form Descent. And I don't know, the very cool guys too. So it makes it easy to really like a band when the band members are cool. But one of my favorite new once again, I'm kind of like Scott. I don't really love the new direction of metal, but this will return. Mortuous and Wake and the like will return you to the love of metal. And that A Feather and Bone is a newer band too, and they're absolutely amazing. But anyway, what you got, Steve-O?
So this is the last one that I've been spinning. The rest are some new stuff that just came in, but finally ran across Lucifer's Friend, man. I've been looking for this. This is another one I've been looking for forever. Every time I see it, it's trashed, or they want like $100 for it. So I finally found this is a white label promo. It's like mint condition that I got for a really good deal. I had always heard their later stuff. Everybody told me how heavy they were and how great they were, and I heard their later poppy stuff. I was like, I don't get it. And Aaron, Metal Theologian's like, bro, you got to get their debut. So I finally got it. It's fantastic. I mean, there's definitely a little bit of Led Zeppelin riffing in here, but it's killer. They're stigmatized a little like Demon, where you think they're going to be the heaviest thing you've ever heard, and they're just basically pop records. But that one in particular this one gets
great.
Pretty heavy, and but I mean every album after that is just
they kind of lose their way.
Every album after this will pretty much suck, you know.
Yeah. Yep.
And then speaking of Canadian metal, this one just came in today. Violet Creed of Vengeance from Smolder, for you epic metal fans.
Oh yeah.
Doom female vocals, right?
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of her vocals. And you know, she's getting a lot of really good reviews because she works for she's one of the reviewers for Locked Horns. So they gave her like 4.5 out of 5 skulls. I don't think any of their albums deserve. The band is really good. Her voice is annoying though. I still really like the band though. And it's one of those things where like halfway through the song, the voice, I kind of get used to it and I'm okay with it. But still, I recommend picking that up. The first 2 albums are really good too. And I don't know if are you guys Acid Bath fans?
Yes. Is that a trick question?
So I finally picked up Derek Riggs. I think this was his first album after Acid Bath. But We Sing Only of Blood or Love. And this is pretty much in the same vein for the most part. But fantastic. This is another one. I've seen it online for way too much money. And I went in, my local record store had it for $18. I couldn't believe it. But you can't go wrong with any of the Derek Riggs or Dax Riggs, I'm sorry, or Acid Bath stuff. Just got this one in as well. A Game You Can't Win from Heretic.
Oh, yeah.
This was the only Heretic album that I didn't have.
That's their third full length, right?
This is their most recent one.
Yeah, it's the third. And they're working on
a new
album.
Another band where what was their first one was like 86 or 87. And their second was like 10 years later. And this one was like another 20 years later, something weird like that.
Yep.
Their first was an EP.
And then, of course, really happy to have this one. I actually spun this one too. I like the original album. This is a funny one. So I remember when this came out, and I saw that, and I was like, that doesn't look like anything special. And then, like 5 or 6 years later, Scott's like, "Hey, did you ever get Manier? It's Greg Manier from the Crucified."
Hold that cover up again.
Yeah,
John. Notice the covers are different.
Oh, are they?
Oh, they are different.
Oh, yeah, the back. Yep. Yeah,
intentionally so.
Huh. That's cool.
Nobody's
Fun
noticed.
stuff.
Nobody said a word about it. Matter of fact, not even the owner of the label noticed it.
Well, I mean,
I just noticed.
When I saw this does not look like thrash at all. The name, the look, nothing says thrash about this album, but it's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, he was basically the Crucified guitar player, and those were all tracks that he demoed for the Crucified. And those guys were more of a crossover style, punk meets metal band. Just didn't fit, so he released it as a solo album.
And then, last but not least, this was a kind of a blind buy. I gave it one of their songs a quick listen online and kind of dug it, so I went ahead and grabbed it. But this is Grand Magus The Hunt. It was on sale on one of the online stores for like $10, and if I remember correctly, it was Doom, but it sounded pretty good, so I went ahead and ordered that. So,
You're up, Francisco.
Am I?
Yeah, you're up.
Yep.
All right, cool. Right, you guys talking about remastering and stuff like that. I like stuff to be unmastered and raw and stuff that I grew up, like demos and stuff like that. Terrorizer's like demo collection right here on FOAD Records.
Oh, dude, that's awesome.
And they put that out. It's basically rehearsals and live stuff and
there's an unreleased track on there too, isn't there?
Yeah, there's an unreleased track from the World Downfall session on here. So Terrorizer, just legendary grindcore band, just influenced tons of people, and they were from Los Angeles, California.
Mm-hmm.
Terrorizer rules. This is something a little bit different. If you're probably familiar with Fenriz of Dark Throne. This was his solo project. This is his first album, Isengard. It's got some black metal signing stuff, but it's also got some like clean vocal stuff, which I really like. I like singing along to it. I don't know what the hell he's saying. I just hum along with him, kind of that deal. He also had another project called Storm with satire from Satyricon, which they did the same thing, which for some reason it grabbed me. I don't know what they were saying, but I mean, I could hum every single note from those albums because it's that damn good, right?
Yep.
At least to me it is. And maybe I should cover up the logo. But AC, this is a legendary, infamous band. This is the early stuff.
How many songs are on that one?
Well, it doesn't say. It just says it's got demos, 7 inches, split 7 inches.
Yeah. So like 60 songs.
Yeah, I've got one of their 7 inches, and there's like 26 songs on it. It's crazy.
Yeah, so this is early.
Didn't Rob remaster one of those?
Yeah, probably.
No, I'm serious. I thought that he had remastered something for them. Anyway,
he might have. I don't know. Not.
And yesterday was the rest in peace Seth Putnam. He's the one on there. His birthday was yesterday. So AC, AC are legends in the underground. And then I went ahead and got, since I'm from the Houston area, I figured I'd plug some old Houston stuff. Starting off with a band called Bark Hard, who were a hardcore punk band.
Oh, yeah.
Featured, for those of you that used to skate, for those of you that remember Zorlak from the 80s, this is John Tex Gibson, played guitar in Bark Hard. You remember the skater Tex Gibson? He was a guitar player in Bark Hard. Really fast hardcore punk. Awesome stuff. This is really early hardcore punk from Houston called Doomsday Massacre. This was 83, 84, kind of discharge kind of sound to them.
Yep.
It features JR, who was the owner of the infamous Houston club, the Axiom, which is where basically Houston's underground venue from way back. Basically, CBGB of Houston. There's a super rare one, Sick Mentality. This is total thrash, late 80s. What is this, 88, 88? Total thrash with a little kind of hardcore crossover mixed in with it. Really awesome. They put it out themselves. Great band. Obviously not very well known outside of Houston, but I love them. Another one, not very well. Dresden 45 was another awesome thrashy hardcore band out of Houston. Kind of they call themselves like a mix between Minor Threat and Slayer, which I think is a pretty good description. Like the Slayer speedy riffs, and they had hardcore punk attitude. But really great. Just never get tired of it. Legendary compilation from Houston, Voices of a Red God.
Mm-hmm.
This is basically 1990 on vinyl, pretty much, in like the mostly Houston area, but it does have Dead Horse, Social Deceit, Acridity, which wasn't from Houston, Morbid Squirrel. They were called the Morbid by then, but Morbid Scream. Just a bunch of Dark Rain. Dark Rain's on there.
Yeah. Now, was that the Dark Rain that was the power metal band, or Dark Rain that turned into the heavier death metal band?
No. This is Tubo super death thrash. Almost, they were leaning more towards death metal on this one by that time. But yeah, total death thrash.
Because I booked them one time at the High Chaparral to open for Hellstar in a band called Still Fury. This would have been 89. And anyway, but they were still like they were like a Hellstar clone back then. And then I got a hold of the newer demos, and I'm thinking this is not the same band, but it was the same band.
Yeah, they changed.
But a different style.
Yeah, different singer.
Yeah,
different vocalist. Robert Mena was the one who was the vocalist when they were more thrash death. They were influenced by like Infernal Majesty,
right?
Shit like that. And then of course the biggest underground band to ever come out of Houston, Dead Horse. This is the original one. Still in excellent shape. This is this band, if you saw them back then, which John, I'm sure you did.
Yes, you bet.
Every show was absolutely insane.
People swinging from the rafters.
Especially in Houston. I mean, because Dead Horse brought in metal guys, punk guys, alternative people, you name it. Everybody was at a Dead Horse show, and everybody was having a hell of a time with Dead Horse. So you want to talk about crossover, bringing people together. This was the band that did it better than anybody else, I think.
Yeah, I think you're...
Especially in Houston, which featured awesome artwork by Mike Haga. I used to have that shirt there a long time ago, but I don't have it. But this was self-released, Death Rides Records. And
it's insane how many hardcore bands came out of Texas. Everybody thinks of New York and LA, but
Houston and Texas itself has a huge history. In fact, Francisco, while you're on, I'm going to pimp you a little bit because I had this in the stack.
Nice.
This is Cemeterian. War Master put out a record called Pyramid of the Necropolis, and I thought that this is a modern version of a perfect death metal band, and it featured Sawblade on vocals, some members of Insect Warfare, and other bands. But anyway, when they kind of broke up and went the way of the dodo, I thought nothing will ever top it. But I'm telling you right now, this is this is scummy and dirty and just crushing with heaviness. And I got this from Charles. He was kind enough to send me the CD version.
Hell yeah.
But it's got the demo plus a CD bonus track. And I'm telling you, Cemeterian, find it and listen to it and just enjoy your skull being removed from your head and rolling down the street, because this thing is just brilliant. It gives me faith in that War Master wasn't just a fluke.
Well, I appreciate that. If you do want that, it does have like the extra demo track and the split 7-inch that we did track hidden in there also. There's a label called Necroharmonic that put that out. Just necroharmonic.com. You can get that really cheap from them. I don't have any, or else I'd, say get it from me. But
this thing, I listen to this thing at least once a month, and in fact, we could probably do, Steve, to your point, we could probably do a show on nothing but Texas metal. I mean, the history here is.
Oh yeah.
I wish.
Yeah. I'm not even just talking metal. I mean, even the hardcore. I mean, most people don't realize Butthole Surfers are from Texas. You would think they were from New York.
Yeah,
DRI spent most of their career in Texas.
Right. Know. Yeah, a lot of the big, I say big, the ones that turned out to be household names in the underground: Verbal Abuse, DRI, MDC, the Dicks, Big Boys, all kinds of bands that were.
Dicks, yeah.
Austin and Houston had a lot of that early on. So, I wasn't around obviously in the early '80s for that, but I definitely found it later, which was always cool. It was always Houston had a cool scene.
Phoenix, we had JFA. I'm trying to remember.
Oh yeah,
we had a few in Phoenix too.
Yeah.
Hey, Steve. Someone asked. Paul Wayne asked, when you all say you've been looking for something forever and you finally found it, are you looking online or in record stores? Since you're the one who said it, I thought you might want to answer it.
It's hit or miss. A lot of the stuff online is, a lot of these records, they want like twice what they're actually worth, online.
Yep.
So sometimes you'll find a good deal, but on Discogs or whatever, but a lot of the time, actually, what was the one I was showing? The Lucifer's Friend I actually got from Rockadrome. They got a copy of it for cheap, and they usually have good deals. I've gotten a lot of really rare singles from them for about half what they're going for on
San Antonio, Texas there. Rockadrome.
Yeah. I love Rockadrome. Well, dude, they put out some good Texas stuff too. I remember they did that Shotgun album forever ago, and but yeah, great website.
But don't you find yourself enjoying it more when you're thumbing through a stack of dusty records?
Oh yeah, man. When you go through and you don't find, especially when you don't find anything else, and you find that one crazy find that you've been looking for forever.
Yeah, this is everybody. This is everybody looking when you find that one record, you're like thumbing through. Whoa, no way! Then you pick it up. That's pretty much how it always happened to me.
Yeah.
Whenever I was a kid, whoa! I'd yell like in a music store. I'd like yell like, "Holy crap!"
The other thing is the record store, the record shows. I've been at a record show a couple times, and I'm flipping through, and I'm like side eyeing what the guy next to me is flipping through.
Of course.
And you'll see something you've wanted forever, and you're just praying that dude doesn't grab it. And I've had that happen a couple times where they've grabbed it, and then a couple times where I was able to get it. But yeah.
Well, yeah, it could be, because I was one of those people where I would grab. I might buy this. So I put it in that might buy stack.
Yeah.
And then I'd whittle it down to like, well, I can't afford all this, right? So, all right, which one do I really want? And I'd wind up with like one record.
Yeah.
Well, we only have a few minutes left. I'm going to cram through this real quick, this stack of vinyl, but Deep Purple, California Jam.
Oh, that's
live.
Great.
Hell yeah.
It's a serviceable bootleg.
What's that?
It's a serviceable bootleg.
Yeah, that particular label's hit or miss. They've got some really good ones and some really bad ones.
No, that thing sounds killer.
Yeah,
I have it.
Yeah. These two haven't just went on sale. Although they haven't even announced it yet. But this is one of the two Jeff Loomis albums, which, my gosh, this is incredible. I mean, I'm a huge Nevermore fan to begin with, but he wrote 90% of the music for
Who's doing
Nevermore.
vocals on those?
This one here I don't think has any vocals. This is instrumental.
That's instrumental.
But this one here has vocals on it, which I've also been playing. Plains of Oblivion, and it's got a couple different vocalists. I can't remember who it was, but one's a female vocalist, and then they have a male vocalist too. But both these are incredible. Rob Caldwell did the mastering on these. Wow, I mean, they just wow. I haven't played this one yet. It just came in the mail, and I haven't even heard it yet. And you guys heard the new Enforcer?
Okay. I've heard the song that they put out there that they want you to love, and go grab the record, and I think it's paltry and weak.
Yeah, I haven't heard it.
Very disappointed.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything from it. So
going back to the 70s stuff.
Hey Steve, that new Enforcer makes the new Night Demon look like Cemeterian. Have you heard
the whole thing or just the one song?
I've heard the whole thing.
Oh,
it's such a departure from what they. I mean, their first two records, even into the third album, they were just ripping power thrash, and now they're trying to sell records, I guess. But more power to them. What is that?
Playing Queen of the Neighborhood. This is an old 70s band.
Oh, dude. Yeah, I love that band.
Their first album, vocalist, what's her name? Margie Raymond. Yeah. But it's also Jimmy Crespo's band before he was.
Oh, that's right.
Brought into Aerosmith. So yeah.
Is that a reissue or is that a regular?
No, it's an original. It's an original pressing.
That's a nice shape.
Forever. I just pulled it out. This is another old 70s band. Flash. Anybody remember this one? Mm-hmm. Peter Green left Yes, and then this. It sounds like Yes. I mean, if you dig Yes, it's pretty much what it is. I don't know what got me in the mood to hear this one, but I hadn't heard it in decades, and so I pulled out the.
That one you got to have a hype sticker for, though. This album has absolutely no hits.
Yep,
the best hype sticker ever.
Like I said, I was kind of in an Accept mood, so I've been playing quite a bit of Accept recently. Metal Heart. I mean, I when this album came out, I hated it. It was not Restless and Wild, and it was and it was not Balls to the Walls. It was much more melodic. I love it now, but when it came out, I remember a lot of people.
Album cover than Balls to the Wall, though. By far the worst metal album cover of all time.
Yeah, not one of the best. The new Saxon. Nice. More inspirations, more cover songs. Basically, this what's their second one since the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And then two more here. This one is a constant spinner. I've been playing this thing on CD and vinyl, just like religiously. It's freaking awesome, man. Glenn Rogers just kicked butt on this thing. Yeah, so you got members of Steel Vengeance, Hyrax, Heretic, and D8 basically make up that band. And then finally, the new Overkill, Scorched, I love it. I mean, it's great. It's what you expect from Overkill.
Is it better than Metallica's new album?
It is, in my opinion, it is far better than the new Metallica album. The Metallica album quickly becomes background music to me. So, but in any case, before we go, I want to mention that next week we're going to have Steve Gaines on from Avatar and Bloodlust and Anger is Art and.
Every time you say Avatar, it sounds like you're saying Avatar.
I know. A-B, Avatar.
I didn't want to say anything, but
that Avatar debut, though, is I think that's one of the most underrated albums of the 80s, man. That album is so good.
That thing rips.
And, all right, let's take a vote on the first Avatar. Is the first Avatar thrash or speed metal?
I think it's speed metal.
Yeah.
Speed metal.
Yeah, Steve Gaines would flip all three of you off for saying that. He's like, nope, it was thrash.
But what is speed metal though, Scott? I mean, it's thrash with the higher
thrash
cleaner
without down picking. I mean, he's not down picking that whole album like they were on the thrash albums.
Well, I mean, they weren't down picking on the first Metallica album either. So, I mean, that was or the first Megadeth that I remember. Anyhow, whatever. It's just a conversation that I've had with Steve and other people online before, and people argue that I think the second Avatar with a B was definitely speed metal. When after Steve left the band and they went into a more melodic direction, and they had those high, clean, soaring vocals. But on that first album, it was pretty raw.
I don't even think I ever owned the second album.
So what about Agent Steel?
Speed metal.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that first Avatar is much more raw and aggressive than Agent Steel. But I mean, it is same guitar player, Ron Garcia, right?
Yeah.
And he also played in what? What was the other band Juan Garcia played in?
Slayer.
Evil Dead?
Evil Dead. Yeah. Yep. So anyhow. Well, right on.
Yeah.
We are at an hour. Is there anything anybody wants to add before we go?
Nobody asked me what my shirt said, but I'll bet Francisco
I know what it
knows.
says. That's intimate. That's intimate.
Yep.
What about
Buddy
this
shirt?
what this one says?
I know what that one says. Yes. The Metal Roundtable. Thanks, Steve.
I feel as though you may have designed this one.
Yes, I think I did. But yeah, we have a local band called Interment, and this gets confused with that. No, this is the Swedish version.
Yeah, Swedish.
Dallas Fort Worth. Not that the Dallas Fort Worth one is bad. They're awfully good, but
Swedish bands are good at doing that. There's a lot of Swedish bands that have names of American bands,
or vice versa. I think the local fellas were around afterwards. I noticed someone had mentioned Opeth Blackwater Park in here too. So speaking of Swedish bands, but hey, Francisco, thanks for joining us last minute. That was fun, and Steve-O too. Yeah, we I think it works good with four guys too sometimes, especially when we're just shooting the breeze. But
so why don't you do the ending here and so that I can get ready to do the other crap.
Oh, that's right. You got to pull the trigger on the. We got to load the gun with this. The metal will prevail. Everybody ready? Shall we do it?
Shit.
All right, metal will prevail.
And then I'm going to leave you all hanging, and then I'll put the thing.